So my name is Paul Mansfield. I work at Accenture and I'm a cyber threat intelligence analyst specialising in dark web intelligence. I did a criminology degree as a mature student. I didn't graduate till I was 27. And I remember a guy in my third year. He was from the Serious Organised Crime Agency. Or National Crime Agency as it is now, and just from that talk I thought that'd be a really cool place to work, and so that summer I got a 6-week temping job there. It's just doing photocopying. Obviously I was so good at photocopying they kept me on, and just kind of ended up applying for a permanent office-based role in the financial crime unit, and I got it, and so I just stayed. I had a few roles, and after a few years I moved into a operational role, so I got my investigator powers, and my last role there was 1.5 years in the National Cybercrime Unit, investigating cybercrime. And then I just fancied the change. After that, I wanted to experience the private sector, and I found myself really enjoying learning about cybercrime and the courses that I was able to go on, as I didn't have a technical background. And I tried my luck applying to be a CCI analyst at Barclays Bank, and I got the job and did that for a few years, learned a lot about cybercrime affecting the financial services industry. Then I made the switch to Accenture as a CCI analyst still, and I've been here nearly 2 years. Yeah, so personally, it was really enjoyable. It was a steep learning curve. So like I said, I knew next to nothing about computers when I moved to the cybercrime unit. So I had to learn on the fly, but I had a great team around me to help me out, and we worked on some really interesting cases. I'm really proud of what we achieved there, but I think my main takeaway was just the scale of the problem. So I think the NCA and all police forces are doing some great work, but the problem is so vast, and complex cybercrime cases especially are so slow moving because of all sorts of complications. Mainly, there's a big cross-border issue which causes international sort of law enforcement and cooperation issues. And cybercrime itself is so fast-moving that it just made me realise the importance of threat intelligence and sharing of intelligence, and education about threats is really the way forward to kind of help people and organisations not to be a victim in the first place. So I spend my days mostly researching dark web threat intelligence, but I obviously use other sources as well, like messaging channels, social media. Obviously keep up to date with cyber news, always making sure what I'm looking for meets the intelligence requirements of our clients. And if I find something relevant, then breaking out that intelligence, or just reacting to events of interest, researching those further, especially if a clients ask us to. And so something like ransomware has been keeping us all very busy for the last year with the ransomware criminal presence on dark web forums and their name and shame websites. So my output kind of takes the form of writing reports, giving presentations, talking on client calls, and then just in slower time I tried to write more kind of strategic level reports, and I've written a few blogs and things like that. It's rewarding. It's dynamic, like I say, every day is different, and educational. I'm always learning something new every day. I'd say go for it. It's this industry, more than any I've worked in, is really full of talented, egoless, helpful, nice people, and you'll be made to feel really welcome. But I'd say from my own experience, I'd strongly suggest, if you don't have a technical background like I didn't, to just try and decide early on what exactly it is you want to do, because it's obviously such a broad area and there's so much to learn, and you can't learn everything right away. And just come up with a training pathway to help you get there, and just try and stick to it, and hopefully along the way you'll realise what it is you love doing and what you don't, and you can kind of adjust as you go. But I think I spent too long thinking I would just learn all the technical stuff by osmosis and doing a few random courses here and there, but that didn't work for me. And I think more by luck than judgment, I I did find that my talents lay elsewhere, and in being able to kind of understand technical concepts, and I've now been in the industry long enough that I've learned a fair amount, and so I can communicate them to non-technical audiences, which I'm learning is a valuable skill set in itself in this industry, and I don't think there's a huge amount of people who can do that well. Yeah, so it's called Cloud on the Horizon: How Threat Actors Are Targeting the Cloud, which is it's a really broad subject, but it was kind of through the lens of research I'd carried out from monitoring the dark web, but again, various other sources. But I just felt like it was really timely after the effects of COVID and the lockdowns and the rush that created for organizations to move all their infrastructure and services to the cloud, and how criminals were trying to take advantage of that. So it looked at how they were targeting it. So logging, credential theft and account takeover, access key theft, supply chain compromise, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and insider threat. I think were all the main topics, all kind of with examples, and provided some advice at the end. Well, there's a lot to think about. Like I said, it's a very broad area. If you want specific advice on the subjects I talk about in my presentation, then they're all in a blog I published about the same thing, so you can read them there. And Accenture publish a lot of different blogs about this. But at a very high level, I think before anything, you've got to know your cloud security posture, and so in that way you can identify your important assets. You can identify your security gaps, and then you can kind of work on establishing a roadmap for baseline security, and then just everything that entails. So things like patch management and integration of threat intelligence, compliance, access management, things like that, which are all really important but easy to get wrong if you are starting in the dark and you don't kind of have a unified, organized approach.